Namaskar. We are starting all over again live with Pandit Anindo Chatterjee. We'll just invite him. So I was giving this initial intro about what InSync is trying to do. Apart from the 24/7 television channel, which is today being watched by almost 30 million people from all over the country and abroad through the mobile app, we have recently started this Instagram Live because we wanted to bring out the depth of Indian classical music, whether it is the vocal, whether it is a percussion, whether it is a melody. So we wanted to really understand and make the viewers understand how difficult or how much sadhana you require to reach a certain stage, especially in case of the percussion instrument. And today I'm very happy, Pandit Anindo Chatterjee, who's one of the leading names in the tabla category. We are in conversation with him. So Panditji, I'm going to launch this chat with you with a very interesting question. Now, classical music is very active in cities like, say, Delhi or Bombay or Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. But I find that the Calcutta-based musicians have a tremendous amount of depth. So I believe that Calcutta somehow manages to retain the intrinsic core values when it comes to following Indian classical music. Now, Panditji, what is your take on the music situation, the music climate, the music perspective in a city like Calcutta?
Calcutta is always the city of music. Not always means I can tell you like 100 years is running like that. All the musicians are saying that Calcutta is the melody. Melody city and music city, rhythm city is always. Because those musicians who are no more with us, they used to come and say that if you are not performing in Calcutta, whole world you are performing, but it's nothing. Calcutta you have to perform. But nowadays also the same I feel, or the last, my over 5 decades on stage, so I can feel that Calcutta is Calcutta. West Bengal is a city of melody, but other city also, like Maharashtra. Maharashtra is also great music lovers, Sangeet Premi, and Sambhashan means very much, Guni, learned and experienced those our listeners and music lovers and the music students. I can find that music students is a lot of music students, not only tabla, anything in Maharashtra. So not only Calcutta, I feel all over India is good music chain and good music like Everest. Music is in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, of course Calcutta, and it is running fantastic way. It is running means raising our next generation newcomers, and all of them are really dedicated. I am very happy for that, for our music to carry on the tradition.
Well, Panditji, that's a very, very apt response in terms of why Calcutta has held the center stage when it comes to Indian classical music. Because number one, the process of evolution of music, Calcutta has always been the center stage. Whether it is instrumental music, whether it is sitar, whether it is tabla, whether it is harmonium, and what have you. So Calcutta has always maintained a center stage, while of course music is being followed with tremendous intensity in Maharashtra, in places like Bombay, Pune, or what have you. But there is one difference. Calcutta still manages to also be active in making the instruments. Apart from the playing, apart from the platform opportunities or the events which take place on the stage, Calcutta, of course, hosts a lot of events during the year, especially during the Navratri season and a little later. There are a lot of festivals happening all around Calcutta. And so is the case in Maharashtra. But in Maharashtra, you find, except the Tanpura, which is made in Miraj, Calcutta still maintains to be the central point for making of instruments. And this is only possible if there is so much of market around Calcutta. Now, Bombay also sources its instruments from Calcutta. So, Calcutta has held a center stage when it comes to promotion and nurture of Indian classical arts. Would you agree with me, Panditji?
I agree 100% because you know that is sure. You said, Ganeshji, uh, the you know those instrumentalist, I mean instrumental shops, instrumental maker, where is fantastic since I have seen 60 years that they are no more nowadays, but tabla or sitar or sarod, you know, I can tell you sarod, if you want to repair one string or something, little bit, Ali Akbar Khasher has to come, I saw, all the way from San Francisco to repair the sarod. Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. So they, hours and hours sitting, I have seen in the shop, in a wooden broken chair to make their instrument, you know, in wood, tabla. So tabla used to make fantastic here also nowadays, many tabla makers. And also I can tell you some names that who were in our time were in Calcutta, very much. Like Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab, Acha Ravi Shankar ji is from Calcutta. Pandit Nikhil Banerjee is very much in Calcutta.
Right, right.
Jog Sahab, Ekanand, Gyan Prakash Ghosh, my guru, B.G. Jog, Radhika Mohan Maitra, Buddhadev Das Gupta, Monilal Lag, so many hundreds of musicians and vocalists and tabla players, especially tabla, is in Calcutta. Calcutta tabla is ruling last maybe 80 years.
So let me go back a little. I would like to have a little more detail on your childhood. How did music enter you? How did it happen? Was music there in the family? How did you get onto it? How did you make yourself to be an extremely popular tabla accompanist throughout the world today? How all this started, the core of that whole thing? Did it start in your family, in your childhood? Obviously, you must have had a very mischievous background in your younger days. So how did all this happen?
It's happened because I was born in a musical family, Ganesh Kamalji. And if anyone born in a musical family, that 100% is you will be musical. Because you are born and you are listening music, you are with environment of the music, you are with the ambience of the music. So I was born in a very remote village. Early 50s. Anyway, that time was not electricity, nothing was there. So, you know, what happened, I am the third generation. My son, Anubrata, is the fourth generation because my grandfather's father used to sing, then my grandfather, and then my uncles. Many uncles used to play sitar, used to play tabla. So they were not professional musicians like us, but they had everything. Because of them, we are here. So I was born in a musical family. Of course, my son also born in a musical family. So automatically we are into the music. And I loved music in 4 years old or 3 years old. And then my parents or uncles, they saw the glimpses that this boy has, you know, this child has some gift. So they had very, I can say, that very long IQ, that maybe because those days you have to educated and have a job and earn for, you know, 1,000 rupees monthly for your bread and butter. But my family was opposite, that no, this boy will do. So my struggle started that time. Struggle means all this, you know, struggling and what I say that is Sangharsh means mehanat ka jo different kind of struggling means we are very mediocre family. So that was one struggling. Then to reach to the top level musician is a struggling. You have to prove yourself. So it was a long travel, long struggle that, once I remember that maybe for 15, 20 years, I had to go by train to any city, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, or whatever, in a unreserved, no question of AC, air condition. It's not reserved anymore. But nowadays, our next generation, even they are flying. So this is changed of the era.
Well, I've seen many musical families. You mentioned about the third generation. So it is not only in the mobile that you have 3G, 4G. Now in your own family, you were the 3G and your son is going to become the 4G. So
my son is is very promising, brilliant tabla player in the younger generation, our next generation.
True. So what happens is normally in the musical families, I would always say that music and prosperity don't go together. Music is on one side, the prosperity is on the other side. So it's very difficult to match the two. And many families, I have noticed that they have produced stalwarts, but at some point of time, they realize that there is no livelihood in following music, and they shift away from good music. Now, this has happened to many families, but I'm extremely glad that in your family, your parents thought otherwise. Your forefathers, your uncles thought otherwise, and they decided that good music,
Not only they thought, the thing is, Ganesh Kumarji, if you have, say, many musicians like our colleague or our contemporary, many tabla players had a job. Many. And without job, I didn't do one day even the job. So what happened, I took that risk. Anyone can take the risk, whether you will go here job or no job, and you have to struggle, and you don't know tomorrow you will get your bread or no. So this kind of competition or risk you have to take.
No, but with you, I think it has been a calculated risk, because you have tremendous confidence, sir, in your own playing.
Yeah.
I have seen that when you're on the stage, when you're accompanying great musicians, you have forgotten everything else around you, and your entire focus is only on your fingers and is on the instrument. I have noticed that, with you especially, when I notice other performers, their look is towards the audience, towards various things that is happening elsewhere.
No.
But with you, you have absolute concentration on your art, on your mathematics, on your ability, on your fingers, and on your instrument. So that single-handed dedication to your art is something that enables you, that despite the risk, you came out as a very successful accompany.
I am really thankful to you that you have watched. I can see now that who is Ganesh Kumarji, because you have noticed with so much detail. Yes, right. I never look to the audience. I never look to the press. I never look to the music, reporter or whoever. My reporter is the audience. My reporter is the musician who I am playing with, who I have played with, all the great maestros who is no more. With Shivji, I have played more than 200 concerts. He just passed away. So, Shivji told me that why you play for whom? I said, Shivji, when I play with you, I play for you and for my music lovers, but I don't look. And he said that, do you know that people comes to listen your tabla, but many musicians, people comes to see them. Maybe their box office, but classical music in dedication, see Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, see Amir Khan Sahab, see Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, they close their eyes and open the eyes when they finish. So I was taught by my uncle that, you have to care, you have to criticize yourself, and you have to reach high, and your ambition should be there, that what they were done and what you are doing. So I am still searching. This is the way,
Like
And
someone
many
would,
good
somebody
tabla
said, you know,
players are
it's
there.
actually, yeah, it's actually a journey inwards for an artist. Once the curtain opens and he is truly playing with a fellow instrumentalist, then it's a journey more towards spirituality, where you actually start looking inside and the audience is there, but it is not there. You want to ensure that your entire creative ability comes to a crescendo and you're able to give the best, whether it is a fellow musician, whether it's a challenge, or you know, he does a tan and you show the same thing on your tabla through a percussive element or what have you. But it is more a journey towards inside self, where you self, you know, there is a self realization of your abilities, and the audience, if it is good, they always lap it up. You don't have to tell them. Like, you know, I have seen some of the new generation artists where they take a lot of time in tuning the tabla. And, you know, they take a lot of, you know, they want to show off that they are tuning it, and then they do this, they do that, then they adjust the mic. Whereas in your case, I have seen you're there, the curtain opens, and you're ready to start. There is no wastage of time. There is no showing off. There is no intention to show that I am important, that, or you know, the mic is not proper, or the audio level is. You do it as a matter of fact. You do it as a matter of seriousness. You bring about on the stage a tremendous amount of seriousness into your presentation. Now, this all things are possible only if you are a true musician, because the art is already there. So can you narrate some of the experiences with stalwarts?
Not only I have to be a true musician. The thing is, the actual thing is what I mean, that you have to associate. I have associated since my childhood.
Your audio level has dropped, sir. Your audio level has dropped.
Audio level has dropped.
Yeah. Now it's okay. Okay.
Now it's okay. I have associated with those kind of people who are like saint. So the association is most important. So I have seen even my Guruji, Grand Prakash Ghosh, are down to earth, and you know, show off. You can show off later if your hand or your voice is working. If your hand is not working and I am doing showing off, then my musical friends are there. They will judge. So I think if you have really quality and dedication, then definitely people will be with you. So first you have to be satisfied yourself. Then you feel that everyone is definitely happy. So association means, you know, I have Abir Khan Sahab. I can give you example. I associated with such a saint musicians, Nikhil Banerjee, or everyone, and with very tremendous detail that their chalne ka, utne ka, baithne ka, baat karne ka jo hai, I have seen they are so down to earth that I don't feel that I am a very good tabla player. I feel that better tabla player also from me is there. But my competition is I have to be the best. Everyone should have. So, you know, in South Indian musician, I am very lucky, fortunate to work with them. So I have seen Balburuliji, I have played M.S. Gopal Krishna, Ramani Sahab, Shivramanji. You know, I have played so many concerts. So they are like Everest, but so down to earth. So if you associate with a real musician, then you will be like this same way.
Excellent. I mean, I want to expand this aspect a little more. I find there are a lot of interesting listeners. Many people have joined, and let me tell you, Instagram Live today, the InSync TV, more than 1,000 people follow this conversation. So I want to get a little more musical. You mentioned about your interaction with the Carnatic stream, where you have played for leading vocalists, like you said, the Balmurali Krishnaji and the very M.S. Gopalakrishnaji, the famous violinist. You have played with Umiyalpuram Shivaramanji. So, you know, all this association with the Carnatic music takes you to a level of finding the best in both these streams. Hindustani has a beauty, so has Carnatic a beauty. So when these two things blend in a very seamless manner, a new kind of a magic happens on this stage. And for that, you need to have a tremendous amount of discipline, dedication, and that sense of purpose in terms of delivering the best music. Now, in case of Carnatic music, this is my personal perception, but I would say that the percussion is a very mathematical expression. Whereas in Hindustani, it's a very poetic expression. Both are percussive expressions, but if you watch the highlights of the two, the Carnatic music expression of percussion is through mathematical core wise and what have you. Whereas relatively in Hindustani, it's more of a poetic kind of a presentation. And the merger of the two really creates a magic. So I want you to speak a little more about the differences in the two systems. How you approach, for example, you look at Bharat. Whereas in Carnatic, they call it Tani and the Korappu. You know, here it is Bharat, there it is reduction, Korappu. So these are two contradictory approaches to percussion. But all said and done, when you merge with them so seamlessly, how do you manage to get this kind of a very successful marriage between Hindustani and Carnatic?
Yes, because, you know, when I started to perform with Carnatic musicians, I say maybe 1980, 81, those times. So what happened, two other percussionists also there, tabla was there, mridangam was there, sometimes just two, sometimes five, ghatam, mridangam, morsing, tawil, whatever percussion instrument. And that Carnatic percussion instrument has unique mathematics and poetic also beauty is there, though their instrument is not very melodious like tabla. This is different. Melody is there in tabla. But how I blend is, I have heard all those senior tabla players playing with Carnatic percussionists. Many times I heard and I tried to achieve what is the method and but there is no method. I mean, I learned some Kore Mora that you have to learn, but the Kore Mora is Tanya Bhartanam is in the last. But when we start the concert, so say one violin and one flute is playing. So they made a bandish. So that bandish is maybe Adital. So Adital is Vedangam or Ghatam, what is they are saying, 8 beats. So that 8 beats, tabla players does fill 16 inside.
Exactly.
If it is 7, the Carnatic style 7 is 4 and 3. Okay?
Correct.
But we think 3 and 4. So it definitely matches. If you are out of rhythm, then you are not a tabla player. Then you can bang the whole. I think if you are, so I follow that 7 beats, and with their combination of balls and tabla's combination of balls, fantastically blends. And then Koroa Mohra and question answer is not a big problem. It's very much matches. But the problem is to accompany with main artist. Also, we played the Tal Baddam. Also, you have seen with Shiv Ramanji so many times I played, or Kadikuri ji or whoever, this young guy Satish, and with them is mathematical calculation with the only percussion when we play on stage. Then maybe 2 hours, 1.5 hours, 2 hours is so some portion, their portion they play and then we play. Then some portion is blended because our also rhythm is there and also tabla's composition are there. And they have the mathematical composition. So it blends unique. I tell you that this is the real fusion. This is real fusion, if you say.
True.
The tabla and mridangam, tabla and ghatam, tabla and tawil If I get 2 concerts in a day, then I will prefer that to play with Carnatic people, Carnatic musician.
Excellent. I mean, what you say is this is a true example of a fusion music where two different forms blend so nicely with each other. But with that, just for the sake of the audience, a few concepts which you use in Hindustani, because there are a lot of Carnatic Rasikas who follow this conversation. So for their benefit, if I may ask you, you have phrases like Kaida, Rela, Badat, then you have Chakradhar. So can you very quickly explain all these phrases to the followers?
Yeah, I mean, after some rhythm, big improvisation, say like mathematical is fantastic. They played for 10 minutes. They means rhythm list. Then what we have to play, what I do, try to do, that my tabla's traditional bandish, or say kaida, or say rela, I just take like I play tabla solo. So I do these, these
Progression.
progression according to our style, like qaida, and then elaborately bistar, and then more complicated, and then it's going to rolla, and then coming back in different tempo, tisram and khandam, and then tihai, and end with the tihai. So, and then again a small portion of mridangam, say. So these kind of things, and one these kind of things is 1, 5, 9, 13. So, in one cycle, then tabla joining. It is more funny. More funny means more interesting. Then even less. Time is less. Then 12, then 8, then 4. Ta, 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 dha, ta, dha, ta, dha, ta, dha, ta, dha, ta, ta, ta,
Wow.
ta, dha. Then if they have, we rehearse before the concert. If I see that Vedanga player has one composition which is, say 10 cycles, then comes to the show. Then I think any composition of mine which is 10 cycle. So I am playing my like Chakradhar. So when it lands, it's fantastic. So I really enjoy with very respectfully. I respect a lot. Not only respect, I love to join with South Indian percussion.
Can you be a little more elaborate on Chakradhar? What is this concept of Chakradhar? Yeah.
We have the different kind of Chakradhar. One different mathematical calculation of Chakradhar. Like, and also dam means pause, also bridam, no pause. Like, I can give you show the audience to the simple one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So second round is
okay.
And
so
another type of that Vedam.
Okay.
Vedam is very interesting.
Now this
1, 2, 3, start. So who the percussionists or students, they will know that is no stoppage. So
Yeah.
another one we have different pause, different space.
Yes.
Landing and pause is different. Many kinds of chakras we have.
Now, for example, in South Indian music, it is a tirmanam which ultimately lands. But in Hindustani, I must confess that we have inherited the concept of tihais, where, there is a long expression of tal, and, 3, 3, 3, and finally you land. So this aspect of Hindustani music, I think the Carnatic musicians have now inherited, and they also have started doing this. And so this, earlier it used to be a tihai, 3 times, and that's the end of it, and they land. But now, they make it a little more interesting, especially in a Taniyavartanam kind of a presentation, where it's a Talavadya Kacheri. They make it more interesting, and I must say that this aspect, this element of percussion approach is brought from Hindustani. So would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's mixed, Adan Pradan ke baat hai. Give and take. I can give you something, I can take something from you. That is related, Those time, I don't know Palghat Muniji's time. Those time, I have seen one time Palghat Muniji. This is the greatest rhythm list. But definitely, it's one time the Ganga and Jamuna is missing. Together, definitely. Is some saint. Breathe. This. What you say, the root is there. Because many roots are similar in North Indian and South Indian Carnatic style. Many roots are similar. See, the style is little different.
Correct. Anindoji, you must have accompanied hundreds and hundreds of stalwarts, vocalists, instrumentalists, Talavadya Kacheri. Maybe in the last 5 decades, you would have had such a wide repertoire of performances. Now, I want to ask you, which one do you enjoy the most? Do you enjoy accompanying a vocalist? Or do you enjoy engaging in a conversation with an instrumentalist? Or do you enjoy having an exchange of this thing on the percussion? Which one occupies you the most? Which one gives you a tremendous amount of satisfaction in your tabla playing?
Everything, Ganesh Kumarji, because I have studied and I have researched not only tabla solo, tabla accompaniment with instrumentalists, like different gharana. So, if I play with Ravi Shankarji, the way I will play
is different.
With Bilal Khan Sahib, it will be different.
Exactly.
I cannot play the same way. Correct. So, with vocalists also, I enjoy with vocalists, with instrumentalists, solo, of course, with Carnatic percussion, but the thing is, mostly I satisfied, with Shiv Kumarji, I have really enjoyed thoroughly, maybe the best. I enjoyed with all of the musicians, and I am very fortunate that all those musicians has performed with me all over the world. So I cannot say that I didn't enjoy. Of course I enjoyed. Everyone. I enjoy with, I enjoyed fantastic with East Universe. I played 2-3 times. So whose name I will say I'm not. With Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, if I play the way, it will not match with Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab if I play the same way. So the ojan, the oet, Amjad Ali Khan Sahab will expect something from me which is mood. So the percussionist should maintain the mood of the player or singer, and don't destroy their mood for a second. Otherwise, it's not joining. You have to make comfort to them, and you have to sacrifice and cooperation. This is the real Shabdat. If you play tabla solo or with mridangam, do whatever you like. So nowadays I am listening that the Sangat, the level of the quality of this accompaniment is not like before. Because you have to listen, all the musicians you have to listen. Nice, they are good. What they want to say from Sarod or Sitar.
So without interfering their flow of creative outflow, there is a space in the concert where you just allow them to do what they are doing in a best way, and at some point of time you excel in your creative expression. So it has to be a combination of both. I have seen off late, some of the younger tabla players. I mean, no disrespect to them, but they don't wait for the main performer to, they keep interrupting to show off their percussive ability. So without allowing the main instrumentalist to first, do an elaborate creating the structure. So they are in a little, what shall I say, a little impatient to show their virtuosity. Whereas trained, experienced, matured artists like you sometimes follow it so peacefully, so nicely. Like you said, surka or chalte rehna chahiye, and at an appropriate time take over and show the tabla this side. This brings me to another subject. If you recall, some time back we had done this Uttar Dakshin series, and you were an integral part when we did it in Calcutta with Pandit Anindo Chatterjee. I remember in one of the seminars which was held in Bombay, there was a Hindustani percussion player and there was a Carnatic percussion player. And the question was, when you do an accompaniment, what should you do? Should you be very, very down and only follow what the main singer is doing, or should you excel in what you're doing? So the response from Hindustani was, no, if I am a good percussion player, I must show my entire thing to the outside world. So this was the response from Hindustani. But the Carnatic response, which was from Mannargudi Ishwaranji, was very different. Mannargudi Ishwaranji said, the main performer is my God. He is like my husband. So if the main performer is, say, a small child, and you are accompanying them, you are not there to show off your ability. You are supposed to ensure that the main performer executes his concert very satisfactorily. So you underplay your role and ensure that you are a good accompanist, and ensure that the main performer gets a lot of clap. So this was a diametrically opposite response from the two streams. What is your take on that, Anindoji?
Ishwaranji was, what he said is priceless word. That I also say and feel and say to the younger that, don't destroy the main artist mood or their, feeling, and have a patience, long patience. If you have patience, you will get the chance. It is not the chance that you have to get a clap. Clap is nothing. If you have a chance for 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, within these 4 beats, you can make interesting things. And people will say, kya baat hai? So why restless? So calm and quiet, and we are accompanying. So your theka, the main basic theka, has to be beautifully blending that the instrumentalist wants or vocalist.
Yeah. The mood in which he is there. Yeah.
That has to digest first. Then whatever you learn from your guru, that is different. From our senior people, which I mentioned the name, with them, Amjad Ali Khan Sahab or Shiv Ji, Hari Ji, or whoever, I mean Rais Khan Sahab or Ravi Shankar Ji, what I learned, I didn't play like, like competitor. I just played like, I am learning something, because they are my senior, and not only senior, many things to learn from their playing, to associate with them. But my contemporary musician, when I play with them, it's different approach on the stage, because we are eating together, getting fun, so many, like the younger, our generation nowadays, who is the sitar player or vocalist. So if I play with, say, Rasid, so it will be little different fun.
True.
But if I play with Kishori Amankar, that my feeling will be different, that I have to follow her and mood. Unka mood na bigade. That is the main thing.
Very true. I like this response, Anindoji, because I want, through these conversations, from stalwarts like you, to kind of guide the younger generation, the younger performers. There is a great amount of divinity and simplicity and greatness in Indian music. Now, I think it is a fundamental responsibility of all the artists to ensure that we don't mess around with this greatness. While we maintain the greatness, there is adequate space for everybody to show their ability, and one should be a little patient. One should be a little softer in wanting to show off the greatness of what they want to do. But at the same time, ensure that when they are accompanying somebody else, they must give that sense of comfort to the main performer. Like, I've heard hundreds of events where you have also accompanied, whether it is Shivji or Hariji or Amjad Ali ji. In fact, just last month I had breakfast with Ustad Amjad Ali. We spent about 2-3 hours together. And what a great soul. And when they come on the stage, the persona is so captivating, so mesmerizing. They don't speak many words. They show their greatness through music. And when they are doing that,
last 40 years, I also enjoyed so much with Khasab, Amjad Ali Khasab. He's a different, he gives the tabla players lot of chances. My son, Anubrata, played lot of concerts, maybe more than 100 concerts he played already with him. So he took him through many kinds of. The thing is, I always teach my students and my son or whatever that, comfort. To make comfort them is most necessary. Then they will ask you to play and you will get clap. Definitely. Clap is not a problem. But to satisfy the musician first, then satisfy the audience. But some restless audience are there, tabla, but it is not like that. Some restless, you don't know, in 3,000 people, 30 people is shouting for tabla. But if the instrumentalist is moved, then he will give a chance to tabla. So it is not tabla solo. So they should not shout. So the thing is, younger generation, my advice or suggestion is, nothing matter. Within 4 beats, you can make a fantastic, what I call Diwali fire. In 8 beats, you don't need 3 minutes.
True.
I think.
Yeah.
You have to have patience.
Well, I was watching a concert, very interesting concert played by a stalwart instrumentalist. And as luck would have it, the first claps was for tabla, not for the instrument. So,
no, claps,
the audience claps. First was for tabla, for when he started playing. So in my mind, as a very seasoned listener, clapping is sometimes very crude. When there is a great thing happening on the stage, you want to sit in silence and enjoy it.
No, clapping is fantastic things, but clapping does not show that you are a fantastic musician. Clapping, I will get, if my baya will take in the head, and like that, I will get great clap. So clapping is not showing that you are the fantastic. Clapping is excitement, I believe. Clapping, the music lovers is there, they love me, they love you, so they will, definitely.
So I find this clapping sometimes spoils the mood of the main artist. Very often I see, off late, in earlier times, one always had a tremendous reverence, a tremendous respect of what is going on the stage. And as an audience, you had to fall in line. You have to fall in line with that sense of space and, the seriousness. But off late, I find in most of the concerts, they start clapping in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So it actually, when the main artist is building up the crescendo, clapping too much actually disturbs their, the sense of proportion. So that progression, we must allow them first.
But that is not fault of the tabla player. No. Okay. That is fault of some audience.
I understand. Because the audience also has to be properly nurtured. The reason we have this conversation, Anindoji, is I am very keen as an institution builder, because I have, built the Fine Arts Society and the chairman of Music Forum. I run the InSync. I find as much as the performer has to be trained. There has to be a sadhana and there has to be a riyas so that the performer can really reach the top. Similarly, for the audience also, there has to be some sense of, evolving from very ordinary rasikas. They should become very evolved, enlightened rasikas so that they give the right feedback to the main performer. Otherwise, the performer feels that he is doing something very big, and suddenly, in 2 minutes there is a clap and the whole thing falls apart then. So I think the audience also need to be nurtured properly. So the responsibility of the channel, the television channel, or such conversations is to ensure that the audience are also told how to behave, how to be serious when you come to listen to a good concert. Don't be in a hurry for that, wah, wah, wah and all that. Have little time, let them build up their whole building. And when they start the embellishments, then rather than clapping, you express your appreciation or acknowledgement that they have done something great. Wait for that opportunity and then do it. So this nurturing of the audience, I think, is also very important. What do you feel on that?
To me, audience is God.
Correct.
Because these last more than 5 decades I am performing, whatever millions of audience has heard me, music lovers, for them I am here. Whatever. For them, they made me. So audience is different kind. In 2000 audience, you cannot find out who is really music lovers, who is tabla lovers, who is, So audience is there. Everywhere is very good audience. They appreciate the melody. Also, they appreciate the rhythm. Because rhythm is so quickly goes to people's...
Fundamental. It's a fundamental thing to music.
That is why tabla players gets more maybe clapping or, rhythm because of the rhythmic instrument. And it has got that fun, that, and also sure, the melody, to understand the melody is difficult than the rhythm. Rhythm is very simply you can attract.
Correct.
I think.
Correct.
But my next level musician or tabla player or whoever, my Ganesh Kumarji through this your beautiful channel, amazing. I want to tell you that whatever from my side I want to do for you, I want to do for the nation, for the students. Not only the tabla's composition, these kind of discussion and how to play accompaniment, how to do accompaniment nicely. That session can be, I am planning to do something in Bombay through my Matra, my organization, but if you help, but your channel, we can do for the, there are so many talented, gifted ladkas there in India, I know. And we have to pick them up. And I am ready to do that, whatever. So this is the message I want to tell.
No, it's a great pleasure, Anindoji, for you having volunteered. That as a channel, sometimes I find the journey is very difficult. Because on one side, the one side they say, no, show this. Some other audience says, show this. So we have a challenge. We are a 24/7 channel, 365 days, and being viewed from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So I had to satisfy the various needs of various people, Hindustani, Carnatic, Ghazal, and Sufi, and fusion, and youngster, serious, stalwarts, full event, short event, small presentations. So one has to have a cross-section of presentation. So a stalwart like you. Yeah.
So in Bombay, maybe you are based in Bombay, so we can do for some Maharashtrian young guys, who are upcoming tabla.
Yes.
We can do something for them.
I have in mind a much bigger thing for you, sir. What I'm planning is some kind of a very serious workshop where there are Carnatic Mridangam players who are platform level players. There will be Hindustani tabla players who are platform level players, and have an interaction between the two, both in terms of demonstration, in terms of discussion, what have you. And at a later time, one can have, sessions to document. For example, the various phrases that I said, Kaida, Rela, or Chakradhar. Now, where is the documentation? Now, you as a stalwart, everything is here, but there is no documentation. And after, another few years, the concept will get lost if it is not properly documented. Now, since I've also taken over Indian Musicological Society, the musicology of classical music also has to be protected. So if there is an evolution of tabla, how did it happen? People like you should speak out कि भाई ये हुआ कैसे 200-300 साल में जो तबला बना हुआ है, इसका कैसे एवोल्यूशन हुआ, आज क्या स्थिति में है और क्या होना चाहिए आगे. तो ये सारा जो कुछ है इसको डॉक्यूमेंट करना भी बहुत जरूरी है, नहीं तो यहाँ रह जाएगा और कहीं ना कहीं वो सब रह जाएगा. तो
I am ready to cooperate you. Not I must not say help. Cooperate, and my everything, will be for this young generation. We have some responsibility for our
correct.
music community.
Exactly.
And before ending,
आज के सोसाइटी में ये सब करके रखने के लिए काफी जरूरी है. एंड इंडियन म्यूजिकोलॉजिकल सोसाइटी, एज यू नो, 50 साल प्रोफेसर आर.सी. मेहता जी ने चलाया था. वो जर्नल पब्लिश कर रहे थे. सो सारे दुनिया जो डॉक्टरल थीसिस वगैरह करते हैं इंडियन म्यूजिक पे, वो सारा उसको रेफरेंस मटेरियल जैसे यूज करते हैं. और गए साल हमने लाया के ऊपर, कर्नाटिक लाया के ऊपर हमने एक जर्नल पब्लिश किया जो उमियापुरम शिवरामन जी ने रिलीज किया. तो वैसे मैं ढूंढ रहा था, तबले के ऊपर काफी मसाला नहीं मिल रहा है, तो इसको डॉक्यूमेंट करके रखना बहुत जरूरी है. नॉट ओनली ऑडियो, इवन द वीडियो. जैसे आप फिंगरिंग टेक्निक्स जो है, आप जैसे मैं हमेशा बोलता हूं, इतना सॉफ्टनेस तबला में अगर देखना है तो अनिंदो जी क्या देखिए आप. तबला में लोग काफी उसमें साउंड प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, लेकिन आपका प्लेइंग में कुछ ऐसी खूबी है, एकदम सॉफ्ट. आप सिर्फ उसको हाथ से टच कर रहे हैं, मगर उसका जो नाद है वो इतना अच्छा लगता है कान में सुनने में. ये सब जो चीजें हैं क्यों होता है? क्योंकि आपका जो साधना है इतने सालों से.
नहीं, साधना नहीं, ये आगे का पीढ़ी को बताना चाहिए. मेरा जो ये है सोच, चिंता और एनालिसिस. I want to share with people.
Correct.
Not people. तबला.
मैंने कहीं देखा, आप जब ऐसे उस तबला को लगाते हैं, the distance between your finger and this thing is maybe 1 millimeter, but the sound produced is so perfect. कभी लोग ऐसा करते हैं, लेकिन आप जो ऐसे बजाते हैं उसमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि उसमें कुछ मक्खन जैसे कुछ चल रहा है.
अरे लगता है आपने तबला बजाया जरूर. लगता नहीं. Your IQ is very sharp. नहीं, क्या है तबला में, तबला तो पीटने का चीज नहीं है.
जी.
मेरा गुरु कहते थे, इसको मत पीटो, इसको मेलोडी से पीटो, मेलोडी बनाओ इससे.
ये भी मैंने आपसे देखा है, सॉरी आई एम रिपीटिंग, एक देखा आप जब आप सुर लगाते हैं, जैसे उसपे अपना हथौड़ी से जो ठीक करते हैं, अब उसको कभी पीटते नहीं. यू डोंट डू दिस, you do it so lightly because it's already pre-tuned. So it's only a minor tuning, micro tuning that you need to do, and do it so softly as if you are just touching a child or something like that. So ये जो aspect है अपने जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट के साथ, वो अपने लेवल पे है, तो उसके साथ कैसे वो संबंध होना चाहिए. तो ये सब जो ग्रेटनेस जो आप में है, इसको मेरा ये ड्रीम है कि इसको बाहर लाए, इसको डॉक्यूमेंट करें और बच्चों को सिखाए. भाई ये कोई ऐसा नहीं कि उसको पीटो या मारो या समथिंग लाइक दैट. एंड ये सब जो बड़ी उसको कैसे उसको नमन करना चाहिए, उसको रेस्पेक्ट कैसे करना चाहिए, इंस्ट्रूमेंट को कैसे उसको ठीक ठाक बराबर होने के बाद उसको ठीक ठाक बांध के रखना चाहिए. हाँ,
इसमें आपको हेल्प मदद चाहिए गणेश कुमार जी, अदरवाइज नॉट पॉसिबल. हम तो जरूर सब कुछ देना चाहते हैं. मेरा क्या ये एक्सपीरियंस कैसे हुआ, सारे उस्ताद पंडित लोगों के साथ रह के, तो उन लोगों का मूड मैं नहीं बिगाड़ने का कोशिश किया. इवन तबला इज अनट्यून्ड, बट वो मेलोडी का काम कर रहा है, हाथोड़ी नहीं मारा. मैंने 1-2 मिनट ऐसे ही चलाया, फिर मारा जो वो ठीक है. तो ऐसी समझ होना चाहिए दिमाग में.
जी.
साथ में तो ये सब बताना है, नहीं तो हम तो ये लेके ऊपर चला जाएंगे, क्या होगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो हम जरूर ये करेंगे अनिंदो जी, विथ योर एक्टिव इन्वॉल्वमेंट वी विल डू दिस एंड वी विल एंश्योर दैट द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इज गिवन दीज स्मॉल टिप्स बिकॉज दे आर ऑल वेरी फंडामेंटल। ऐसा नहीं कि ये स्टेज से नहीं सीख सकता है, जो लड़का है गुरु से ही सीख सकता है। तो ये जैसे छोटी छोटी चीजें जो है, कैसे रेस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए, कैसे उसको बराबर बांध के रखना चाहिए और उसका सुर बिगड़े नहीं। ऐसा नहीं कि काली एक से काली तीन चढ़ाए काली चार चढ़ाए, ऐसा नहीं होता है। अगर वो काली एक का तबला है तो काली एक का थोड़ा माइक्रो ट्यूनिंग कर, उससे जरूरत से ज्यादा उसको मारिए मत, उसको ट्यूनिंग करने की जरूरत नहीं। आजकल मैं देखा हूँ प्रोग्राम में काली एक से काली दो, वही तबला कभी काली एक में लगाते हैं, कभी सफेद एक में लगा लेते हैं, कभी सफेद दो में लगाते हैं, कभी ढाई में लगा लेते हैं। ये मेरे हिसाब से एक गलत चीज है।
क्यों पता है अभी क्या है ना,
जी जी
तो 25-30 केजी फ्लाइट में अलाउ करते थे, दो तबला लेके घूमते थे, तीन तबला। अभी तो अलाउ नहीं करते, अभी एक ही तबला को लेके घूमना पड़ता है। सी का तबला डी शार्प में चढ़ाते और बिगड़ जाते हैं।
तो ये करेंगे, हम जरूर करेंगे। And it was a great pleasure, Anindo ji, to have this casual conversation with you in Sambhashan for InSync TV. And let me warn you, this is only the beginning. This is not an end. So this is only a beginning. Now we will have to do so much for good Indian classical music. It's a great time I had, and I hope all the people had a great time as well.
Thanks to all the listeners, and thank you and InSync, and I am always with you for the sake of any improvement for the music community.
Thank you very much, and wish you a good night, Anindo ji. Thank you very much. और अपना तबीयत जरूर संभालिएगा। आपके शिष्य ने बताया कुछ, मैंने कहा मेरे से अगर बोलेंगे तो सब भाग जाएगा।
नहीं, तबीयत तो ठीक होता है, बिगड़ भी जाता है, कभी कभी बिगड़ना चाहिए।
जी 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 जी।
तो लोगों को आपको कह सकते हैं आज कॉन्सर्ट अच्छा नहीं हुआ क्योंकि मेरा तबीयत नहीं ठीक था। एक्सक्यूज होना चाहिए।
जी जी।